Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Little Rock, where love is our teaching and service is our prayer. My name is Barrett Goodwin. I'm part of the PA team, the usher team, whatever they need me to do. If you're a newcomer, thank you so much for joining us this morning. While you're here, please stop by the guest table out in the lobby and pick up some information about our church. We'd love to send you some more information and have you back again. I now invite our illuminator today, Dave Marsh, to come forward and light our chalice and then lead us in our affirmation of covenant, which is printed in your order of service.
I light the chalice with these words. Let us open our eyes to see what is beautiful. Open our minds to learn what is true. Open our hearts to love one another. Please join me in the affirmation of covenant, which you will find in your order of service, saying, love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other.
From April 2024 until January 2025, a Minneapolis resident named Susan Raffo, who currently describes herself as a body worker, culture worker, and writer who focuses her work through the lens of healing justice, walked across the United States from Maine to California. She says she has dreamed of taking such a walk since she was 16 and finally realized that dream at age 60. It took her 9 months. She decided to reflect during her walk on the question, how do we live together on this land in a good way? She noticed during her walk that more people wanted to talk with her about God than about politics. And not in an if you accept Jesus, you will be saved way, she says, but instead in a way that is about shoring up faith in something bigger than our humble lives. My colleague Meg Riley wrote what she called a long and winding post on Facebook about how she was thinking about that more people want to talk about faith than about politics, and got curious about what kinds of conversations might be useful to help point us in a good direction for our shared future. She started to imagine, on her way to the farmer's market, what she might say if someone who had voted for the current administration in Washington told her they felt betrayed and were defecting. She imagined that she would listen hard. And then, these are her words now, only when they had gotten to the point of sputtering about all the lies and were wearing down, I would say, I think the biggest lie he tells is about who we are created to be as people. cruel and not compassionate, because I don't think that's true at all. If appropriate to the conversation, she wrote, I would say, I don't think that's who God made us to be. Because, she wrote, I would hope that saying something simple like that could register and kick around in someone's mind for a while. I didn't picture saying much else. She continued, anyway, then I thought, it's too bad I don't know anyone I could have this conversation with. And then at the market I was buying plants, as I do, and from an old white farmer and his wife, who I've guessed to be kind of conservative because, unlike many other farmers, they never say that they like the shirts I wear about all the things you might expect my shirts to say. So I said to the guy, how are you? Did you have a good winter? Expecting him to reply superficially. He said, I'm fine, but with a totally miserable look on his face. So I said, you say fine, but you don't look fine at all. Are you okay? And he said, it's politics. I feel betrayed, like I don't have a country anymore. I feel betrayed. And he went on about the war in Iran and the cost of gas and groceries, and then segued into all the lying. And as I'd imagined, I listened for a good long while, and then I tried my line. I said, the lie that upsets me the most that he tells is that we are not compassionate or caring, that we are cruel. I don't think that's who people really are. And man, it opened a new door. He told me that his neighbor out in the Minnesota countryside was snatched by ICE, such a great neighbor, so kind, so generous, and that he felt helpless about it, and it happened so fast he didn't know what to do, and now the family is suffering. And then he followed me around while I bought plants and talked and talked. And I kind of felt ready to move on by then, but he didn't. He didn't. And finally, I bought my plants, and he said, thank you. I really don't have anyone to talk to about this. Lean in. Listen. Hear. I share this, Meg wrote, in case it is of use for any conversation you are in these days. Susan Raffo headed one of her blog posts about her cross-country walk with a quote by Wade Davis, a Canadian anthropologist. He said, the fluidity of our memory, our capacity to forget, is the most haunting trait of our species. It accounts for why we are able to adapt to almost any degree of environmental or moral degradation. About that quote, Raffo wrote, I love it, I truly love it. That startled me because as an amateur historian, that was not my reaction. And because of her work with the Healing Histories Project, which focuses on transforming the medical industrial complex and confronting eugenic legacies, and her work with the Revolutionary Emergency Partners, a Black-led, community-led crisis response organization grounded in the belief that we have the ability to love and protect one another without giving our agency to systems built to destroy, consume, or commodify us. Because of all of that, I would not have expected her to love that quote. After all, forgetting, and worse, erasing our history is why there's so much healing and protecting for those groups she works with to do. But she continued, I also know that when Wade Davis, who developed good relationships with many people from Native nations, shared this quote with his Native friends, they said, but no, this is not a species thing. This is your people's thing. We have ways of remembering, of staying connected so that our forgetting doesn't turn into a weapon. We haven't needed to forget to survive. And, she says, Wade acknowledged this, and forever after, when he spoke about forgetting, he talked about it as something unsurprisingly found in those cultures and communities who have normalized violence. And they say this about forgetting as a justification for how they exist. I love that story more than I love the quote that generated it. And I love the story for what it points to. Relationship and connection, yes, but crucially, curiosity. If we never ask, what do you think of my idea about forgetting? If we often buy plants from a farmer but never ask if he's okay, never imagine what we might say if he shared his regrets with us, instead of, well, what did you expect? That wouldn't be very helpful, would it? If we never awaken our curiosity about our neighbors, well then, how do we live together on this land in a good way? The problems we face these days, from social division to climate change, often feel overwhelming if we stop to think about them. One way to deal with overwhelm like that was offered by Rainer Maria Rilke. He said, be patient toward all that is unsolved in your heart and try to love the questions themselves like locked rooms and like books that are written in a very foreign tongue. Do not now seek the answers, which cannot be given you because you would not be able to live them. And the point is to live everything. Live the questions now. Perhaps you will then gradually, without noticing it, live along some distant day into the answer. Not so helpful when the questions or problems are urgent, right? Krista Tippett has offered an alternative. She says, it's very hard to respond to a combative question with anything but a combative answer. It's almost impossible to transcend a simplistic question with anything but a simplistic answer. But the opposite is also true. It's hard to resist a generous question. The poet Yehuda Amichai has written, the place where we are right is hard and trampled like a yard. But doubts and loves dig up the world, and a whisper will be heard in the place where the ruined house once stood. Philosopher Perry Zern says there is a type of curiosity that begins by fidgeting with social mores and political strata, poking and prying in search of a new space to stand tall. It bravely barrels into the darkest recesses of suffering and pain, steels itself, and lays bare the true face of social inequality and social death. And it raises its head to the sky, imagines as yet inconceivable worlds of justice and of peace, still so easily dismissed as feverish fantasies or illogical hopes. This curiosity is politically resistant. This curiosity is from and for the margins. This curiosity comes alive in the streets and poetry, in shared meals and political protests, when curiosity's insubordinate potential is tapped, it investigates the suffering of the marginalized. It casts radical doubt on the status quo, and it fearlessly imagines new and better futures. Insubordinate curiosity also shifts who is consulted and who gets asked for their political wisdom. My colleague Kimberly Debus calls curiosity worry's opposite and recommends that we lean into it. She cites Rabbi Marcia Prager's observation where worry says, "Oh no, what is going to happen?" Curiosity says, "Oh wow, I wonder what's going to happen." Lean in, listen, hear. Sometimes we need to direct our curiosity inward. The poet Andrea Gibson wrote, "It would seem voice loss would be an easier symptom to resist than physical pain. It would seem so. But when I woke up after that infusion to discover my voice was gone, I felt made of resistance. No, 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 I would have screamed if I could have screamed. After a couple of days of managing the grief and fear by not managing it at all, I finally began to welcome the feelings that arose within me, especially the most mangled, tangled ones. After doing that, I soon found myself nestled in the arms of my most consistent and reliable Savior. Curiosity. What do I have to learn from not being able to speak? How might this be an opportunity to further open my heart? Dr. Sharon Blackie, a psychologist with a background in mythology and folklore, asks a rapid-fire series of questions that evoke how living into the questions can awaken our curiosity into a way of moving and being in the world. What would happen, she writes, if we began each day from the position that we don't know everything, that what we proudly imagine to be our truth and our wisdom probably aren't such perfect reflections of reality after all? What would happen if we began each day with the realization that it's entirely possible that we don't actually know anything that really matters? If we only could cast aside all our categorical certainties, wouldn't that make each day into a genuine adventure? Wouldn't we be filled with curiosity, with all that childlike awe and wonder we lost such a very long time ago? Wouldn't a day like that be so very much richer, so very much more beautiful, so very much wiser? Things lean closer when we notice and stop being things. A bird has a biography and a song forged by weather and distance. Lean in, listen, hear. Amen.
I invite you to remain standing as I invite Dave back up to extinguish our chalice as we join in saying our closing words. Saying, go out
into the world in peace, have courage, hold on to what is good, return to no person evil for evil, strengthen the faint-hearted, support the weak, help the suffering, honor all beings. And may you lean in, listen, and be curious.
soul.